What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Stocks to Watch, and we will have an interesting week ahead. So let's get started with Nifty and Banknifty first. And before I get started, if you are new here, consider subscribing to the channel if you like the content and the research that we put in. So if I start with Nifty and Banknifty, I think the video is going to be a little boring. Why? Because Nifty and Banknifty are at a place where you probably would not like to execute a lot of trades, and that is visible with the charts. So what you can see is Nifty is currently trading near two important areas of supply, and the overall most recent trend, I would say, is Nifty has started to bounce, I think, more than 600 points, 700 points approximately from the lows in the last 5 days. So Nifty is up 3% or 700 points in the last 3 days. And now, if you look at the overall picture from the markets, we are technically hovering around an area of supply which will be very hard for the index to navigate. Now, that means index heavyweights have to be scrutinized very, very carefully, because this is what's going to drive the next leg of the move. So in my opinion, from an overall perspective, what I feel is the market's probably going to take some of the other supply from this little area. So I think this area is going to be one of the most crucial areas for the next entire month. Now remember, elections, the result of the elections coming in the next 14-15 days. That means there is only about 10 days of trading action until we go to the result day. And that means there will be a lot of easing up of positions, a lot of profit bookings going to take place. So liquidity will matter. And that is what I feel about Nifty, that Nifty is not at a favorable place, especially from a risk reward perspective, to go on the long side. So I think I am writing off longs in the index. But from a stock specific, from a stock specific perspective, I think there are a lot of stocks setting up beautifully. And I think the next week will be the week of mid caps, small caps, and maybe micro caps. So index is currently at a place which is more favorable to go short on. And for that, we have to wait until it reaches the right area. And for me, that area is maybe somewhere near 22,600, 700 area. So maybe Nifty can bounce 100, 150 points more. That is where I think shorts could start kicking in. And I think the markets from an overall perspective are likely to correct back. So this is what's been happening, right? So the markets have moved up, the markets pulled back, the markets moved up again, pulled back, moved up, pulled back. And I think this is very likely to happen. And I think we are going to find all the support over here, maybe around the 21,000 area. So I think that's broadly going to be the range for Nifty. That's what I think. So if I open up the weekly chart, right, the chart is getting truncated. It's kind of getting compressed. And I think the broader end of the range would be 21,000s all the way to 22,800. I think Nifty is probably going to stay in this range for a while before it starts moving higher. I think Nifty has done this previously as well, when we were, kind of creating such kind of a structure where we were getting compressed in a tight range. We came back all the way to these areas of demand, spent some time in this range for quite some time before we started the next leg higher. So I think this leg is a little more truncated. It's going to be difficult to trade on the long side. So I think longs have been written off from the index perspective. Obviously, there is a 5% chance that the markets could surprise us and maybe do something like this in the run-up to the elections. Maybe the markets create like one big day, trapping all the short positions in the market. And then we might, this is like only a 5% chance of the market doing this, but it is a possibility. So as far as everything is concerned, I think my game plan is pretty simple. I'm going to be looking to go short on the index when the right prices arrive, and I'm going to be looking to go longs from a stock specific perspective. Next up, we've got Banknifty. Now, Banknifty is also much better than Nifty, I would say. Longs are still favorable in Banknifty at the moment as compared to Nifty, because the supply, all the supply in the world in Banknifty is, I think, a lot higher, right? So this is like a major area of supply for Banknifty, which is great. That means Banknifty essentially has at least 2,000 or 3,000 points more to move before we start, witnessing some serious supply. So at least 800 points before we tap into this supply, and then maybe another 1,400 points before we tap into that supply. So I think these are two areas which are going to be interesting. Banknifty, if it tries to come maybe over here, I think a long would be favorable all the way until this high, and then I think the action is going to be moving in this direction where we sweep below these lows. So I think that's how the market's probably going to move. Now, if I look at the index heavyweights, like in terms of banks, I think there are 5 or 6 banks in the watch list today. So I think banks are going to be interesting. Now, coming on to stocks, and before that, let's just quickly understand what exactly is the market view going forward. So Saturday was like a very flattish day because we just had like about 45 minutes of trading. Now on Friday, we saw massive action in gold and silver. Silver was like the main killer. Gold was like just kind of bouncing on the tunes of what silver was doing. So I think the risk of thingy is on. American markets are doing well, trading at their highs. So I think the overall sentiment is bullish. However, this is very cautionary bullish. That means stock-specific action will lead, and indices will probably see some adjustments, a lot of shorts, protective shorts being put in. So I think if you're an index trader, maybe on an intraday basis, you can probably do anything. But on a swing or a positional perspective, not the right place to go along. Let's get started with eMudra. I think this has been a fantastic runner of the past, creating a fabulous base with the volume dry up. I think this is going to be one of the favorite picks for tomorrow. Taj GVK also, setting up pretty decently nice tight base, upcoming earnings. I think tomorrow, they had earnings on 18th of May. And I think the earnings were decent because hotel stocks were anyway doing nice. So I think this is also pretty great. So I think this is going to be interesting to see. Jyoti CNC Automation, I think on a smaller time frame, it's kind of setting up to move higher from here. Again, it's a risky one because the base is a little far, from the important areas of liquidity, but still fine. Zydus Wellness is preparing for a multi-month breakout, and I think we've discussed this multiple times. It's going to be interesting to see. SML Isuzu, nice little base over here. I think this is a very, very attractive name. We've seen what different other companies have done in this space, in auto space especially. So I think this is going to be really interesting to see. Next up, we've got Asema, which is like a textile name, and this also is making like a good rounding base kind of a structure. But this supply is a problem for me. So for me, it's a no at the moment. Prestige, ready to break out from this area. Real estate stocks doing decently well. Morpin Laboratories, another pharma name, setting up nicely over here. Again, earnings coming up tomorrow, so avoid trading this one. Next up, we've got RateGain, very, very nice base from a very nice location. I think this is a no-brainer. This is definitely a buy. Heritage Foods looks interesting for a continuation. Nesco looks really nice. There is supply over here, which is marked right here. I think that's going to be an issue, but I think still it's probably going to be okay. CG Power, there's a bulk deal probably going to happen tomorrow. CG Power has just done wonderfully well, has done like quite a fantastic run up, quite a fantastic move that the stock has given. Now I think there is probably a 250 crore block deal that's going to happen tomorrow as per D Street sources. So I don't know, this might be moving even higher. Sunflag Iron Steel, perfect setup, could be interesting to see how it works. Godavari Power also, nice consolidation. Again, earnings tomorrow, so be careful. NBCC, what a base. Wonderful action. I think this is one good stock for a swing or a positional play. It looks fantastic. Madras Fertilizers needs time to set up, and I think same is the case with FACT and same is the case with RailTel. So all of these three names not my favorite ones to play. Now this is the weekly order block in Sula, and Sula's price currently is just amazing. So I think again this is one of the maneuvers that we saw in the stocks to watch series. I think Sula, wonderful stock, high growth perspective, and now it's trading at a pretty decent valuation. So I think this is going to be like having a car trade kind of a move. Now, if you don't know what car trade did, I think Sula is going to be doing something similar to that. So this is what car trade did, came into the weekly OB and then just blasted out of nowhere. So Sula, definitely something on my radar. Arman Financials, very nice base. BF Utilities again preparing for a base breakout, looks really nice. Aarti Industries reacting from the order block. I'm not really a fond of this one because there is liquidity on the downside. So this is a little risky one, but definitely keep this on your radar. Suri Roshni again preparing to move on the higher side, looks really good. DCM Shriram Limited, very good action. I'm interested in this. Tata Communications after a base breakout. I think we discussed this base breakout earlier also. Consolidating in a tight range, ready to move higher. Siemens, disclaimer, we already have a long position in Siemens. So this is Saturday, so this is nothing but like a very flattish kind of an action. But I think this probably could move higher, based on the contraction and the exhaustion gap that we are seeing. So I think this is interesting. Craftsman again setting up with a very nice tight, base. I think this is an interesting one to watch. Sonata Software, very, very tight range action from an area of order block. I think this is very tight range action. Earnings are already out. Everything is factored in. So IT, I think, could be surprising a lot of people. Again, IT has been trying to move higher, but there has not been a confluence kind of an action. There's a disclaimer. I already have longs in Infi and Coforge. So I'm expecting some action tomorrow in IT, but it's a tricky one because we've not seen IT really have a good follow through. HDFC Bank is trading at the high of the base that it has created, and that is the reason I think Bank Nifty still has some life in itself. And then maybe it starts falling. So HDFC Bank is, in a tight range, has been volatile throughout the week. So the entire week's range was about 3%. So decent one. And I think there could be some action here as well. Jamna Auto, after a good move higher, is contracting nicely. There's lots of supply. I prefer SML Isuzu over this. Kotak Mahindra Bank, we discussed this base. Now it is ready to move higher and crack the other base. And probably this is going to fill up this entire gap. So from the day we discussed Kotak, I think Kotak is up 3% up. Nice action over here. Sun TV, nice little base breakout. Yes, there is supply, but the base is just beautiful enough. Earnings coming on Friday, 24th of May. So be careful about that. Excite is a little stretched. I like the structure. It's a little stretched. I will stay out of it. HDFC Life, again, sweeping below these lows, trying to react over here. I'm not really a big fan of this. I'll actually remove this from here. MRF, again, one tired name, reacting from a fair value gap and base, forming a nice little base formation. So I think it's going to be interesting as well. Shoppers Stop, again, similar structure. Base is nice, but the supply overhead is going to be a little irritating. Jain Irrigation, moving towards supply. It's going to be interesting to see how this one reacts. Shipping Corporation of India looks really, really nicely. Maybe it starts setting up tomorrow. So I think this is going to be something on radar. Within the bank's space, I think CSB Bank has reached a good decent area of demand. The bank is decent. And now I think this is a good place for this to kind of step up higher now. The stock has been into, it just broke out of this range. It's just sideways for a long period of time. Hasn't really given any kind of returns. This could be an interesting one. GSPL, Gujarat State Petronet Limited, reacting from an order block, creating like a nice tight little base over here. I like it. Going to be interesting to see how it works. IDFC, same stuff, reacting from an order block, tight range action. IDFC First Bank, similar thing. I think there is a trade in IDFC First Bank and IDFC. I think there's something cooking. Axis Bank, again, another banking name which I feel would lead Bank Nifty higher. Really nice structure, contracting around the 20 EMAs. BPCL, very, very nice base build-up that is happening. I think there could be some action in this one. There have been some broker research upgrades on BPCL as well. SRF is a risky one, but amongst the chemical space, this is like a very good risk-reward play. Last day, I think we saw a lot of liquidity being taken over here from this little place over here. And then I think now we are ready to charge up higher. So I think this is an interesting one. I'm going to be interesting to see this. Sigachi, again, setting up really, really nicely from a base perspective. The earnings are coming on 29th of May, so be careful about that. But I think the stock is pretty much set and ready to kind of show its move and action. TTK Prestige is the last one on the list, reacting from this area of demand after like a liquidity sweep. So things look good. And now after the base build up over here, I think this is going to be an interesting one to watch out for. So lots of stocks in the watch list, and that means that mid caps and small caps are setting up really nicely. It is going to be a crucial week ahead. Be careful and be mindful about any opportunity where the markets could start to fall. Be two-dimensional in your thought process. And if you like the content, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and drop a comment if you like this research, or if you have any comments or feedback to share with us. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next episode. Take care and have a great trading week ahead. Thank you. Bye-bye and good night.